Ran track in high school. I was 155 pounds soaking wet. I didn't even know what protein was, Dave. No idea. Even like hitting that 2,000 pound total, I didn't think I would ever get there. I committed to it, and if you really go all in and you just commit to something and you really believe in yourself, you can absolutely do it. Take risks, do cool shit, live your life. It's worth it, man.
It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Table Talk. Today, my guest is Kyle Sheridan, co-owner of Legends Gym in Webster, New York, head coach of the crew. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the first raw 2,000 pound totals in Rochester.
That's correct.
And 800 pound deadlift. Ventured into multiply a couple years ago, 2150 at 242, competing for 15 years and coaching for close to over a decade.
That is correct. I've been competing, well, since 2013 is when I did my first competition. I did bodybuilding prior to that, a couple of natural bodybuilding shows, and then kind of just wanted to transition into powerlifting. I remember before I started powerlifting, I was trying to decide whether or not I should bodybuild or powerlift. I was interested in both, and I thought bodybuilding would be harder, and it was.
Yeah.
Much harder. So I said I just wanted to do one bodybuilding show, and I ended up doing two. And then after that, it was like, I remember being more excited for the fact that I hit my first 600 pound deadlift 3 weeks prior to my second bodybuilding show than I was for even stepping on stage.
What'd you do before all that?
I ran track in high school. I was skinny. I was 155 pounds soaking wet. I was actually a pretty good sprinter. I was a top 20 sprinter in section 5. It's a New York State.
Yeah.
For the 55, 100, and 200. We broke all the school records for the relays, which was pretty awesome. One of them still stands, actually. And so after I graduated, I was just kind of bored. Didn't know what to do. A year later, I started doing some like push-ups and pull-ups in my room. I started to see a little bump in my bicep, and I thought, like, if I can make progress just by doing push-ups and pull-ups every day, what if I actually committed? Any
strength training at all in high school?
No, nothing. I didn't even know what protein was, Dave. No idea.
So what kind of clique were you in high school? Like, who were you in high school?
I played in a band in high school. So I had long hair. Rock band. Yep. I played in a band throughout high school and even a few years after. I ran track. I was captain of the track team for 2 years. And
now that seems to contradict.
It does.
Right?
It does.
You're not going to see the.
Yeah, I don't know, but I got along with everybody.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of trying to find my way, I guess. So yeah, I graduated 155 pounds. I would get back from track practice and just eat Oreos until I was full.
Okay.
Ice cream, just whatever tasted good. I didn't drink water. I would just drink carbonated beverages every day. I had no concept of nutrition at that time. Interesting.
What about if we go back further? Any like little league?
I played baseball. I played baseball and football growing up. I was always the fastest kid. So anytime I played baseball, even throughout like JV baseball, I would hit first. I would get the bunt signal every time, just lay down a bunt, run to first, steal second, steal third. Played outfield. I could track down balls, and playing football, I was running back. I didn't play football in high school. I stopped shortly before high school. Just because the high school, they took it so seriously. And for me, being in a band, I was more interested in just playing music at that time.
Yeah.
Baseball, I could wing it a little bit, but with football, like the double sessions and everything, I just wasn't.
So in the Little League stuff, when did that start? Because I'm always interested in, when I'm looking at lifters or people that get to a high level of performance in any sport, there's developmental phases throughout kids' lives, right? You know that as a coach now, you may be working with certain kids. And so how old were you when you started any of the sports?
T-ball for like baseball, yep. And then like Mighty Might football, Pop Warner, like 7 or 8 years old. I think T-ball was like 5 to 6. So my dad pretty much just put me right in it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved sports as a kid.
All of them?
I played soccer for a couple of years. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
I was actually good at it, and then I started playing like more travel soccer, and I realized I just didn't have the skills. I was just fast. So I'm like, no, I think I stuck with, what's soccer? That's a fall sport. So I think I stuck with football after that. But yeah, baseball, I just played.
So how did the band come into play?
I well, there's actually kind of a story that goes along with this. So I went to Plank North Elementary School, and there's two well, there was one middle school at the time. So in 5th grade, my family moved to the other side of Webster, and at that year there was going to be 2 middle schools. So all my friends were going to the first middle school, Spry Middle School, and my mom would just kind of drive me to and from school. So then the following year, I was going to be going to the opposite middle school. So then it was like probably a few weeks after we moved in, a family shows up, the Lintelas, gave us some cookies, welcoming us to the neighborhood. And there was a kid who had a Linkin Park shirt on. Now this is like 2000, 2001. Hybrid Theory had just come out. None of my friends had heard of Linkin Park. This kid was wearing a Linkin Park t-shirt, and I'm like, dude, you listen to Linkin Park? He's like, no way, you do too? Like, we hit it off. We went upstairs. We were talking. A couple weeks after that, after school, he knocks on the door. His name's Grant. He knocks on the door and invites me to go play Foursquare with the other neighborhood kids. I didn't know any of them. I was very nervous. I'm like, Mom, reluctantly, I'm like, Mom, Grant wants to know if I can go play Foursquare. She's like, yeah, of course, honey. So I went. And he was that kind of person, just to invite me with the kids that I didn't know. So, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I got to meet all the neighborhood kids. So, the following year, this is 2001, I go to this new middle school. I don't really know anybody. Like me and Grant, we were hanging out all summer. I was in 6th grade. He was in 7th grade. And fast forward a little bit. So like we didn't see each other in school much, but fast forward a little bit. He gets a guitar for his birthday in November, an acoustic guitar. So I must have told my parents, I'm like, Grant got this guitar. I got an electric guitar for Christmas in December. And I remember once I got the electric guitar, this little like 10-watt cord attached to this like little plastic guitar, trash, probably like $100 total. I'm like, Grant, dude, I got this guitar. And he's like, well, you should learn on an acoustic first. I'm like, all right. I invite him over. I start playing Brain Stew by Green Day with distortion. He starts singing along to it. It blew his mind. He's like, dude, never mind. Electric is awesome. And we were talking about being in a band together. That would have been between obviously Christmas and then February break, because February break comes along. There's a knock on the door. And well, actually, no, my mom just calls me downstairs. She brought over my next door neighbor, Mrs. Thornton, and she had kids that were around our age, part of that neighborhood group. She sits me and my brother down. My mom sits down next to us, and she says, "You know your friend Grant?" I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, he got really sick over February break. And I remember when she said that, the first thing that popped in my head was like, all right, well, it's not like he's dead or anything. The next words out of her mouth were, he passed away. He passed away from a very rare form of strep throat called strep A. His esophagus closed up in the middle of the night. It was like 2, 3 a.m., something like that. And he suffocated, and that's how he passed. I remember going to the wake and the funeral. He was 13 years old. I was 12. I remember going to the wake and the funeral, seeing him in the casket, and he was wearing that same Linkin Park shirt that he wore the day that I met him. And that was extremely hard. I remember going back to school. I'm still trying to like find friends. I went back to school the day that February break ended. After all that, I went back to school, and this kid comes up to me. He's like, hey, you know your friend with the glasses? I'm like, yeah. He goes, he's dead. And then he just walks away. And at that point, I realized that I had to just bury it. So I felt like I just couldn't really show weakness at that point. I'm still trying to find friends, like find where I belonged. That kid obviously didn't know the extent of me and Grant's friendship. But that kind of led to me meeting John Talley, who is the guitarist for the band that I was in. And we talked about music, and he taught me what guitar tablature was, which is basically like a number system, E, A, D, G, B, E. Shows the string, shows the fret where you put your fingers. And like that opened up a whole world of learning guitar and getting better at guitar. And he then invited me to a practice for the Falling Forward practice, which was on like every Sunday from like 1 to 4. So I went, and they had another guitar player at the time. This would have been like 7th or 8th grade. They had another guitar player at the time, so we did band practice every week, and it didn't take long for them to kick out the other guitar player just because I was better. I kind of fit the mold a little bit better, but that's how the band started.
And how did that progress?
We ended up playing shows. The drummer's dad was like a Labatt's Blue, I don't know, like sales manager or something like that. So he knew all the bars around. So we'd go play some like cover shows on like Friday, Saturday nights, like as 14-year-olds.
How's that work?
Yeah. Well, our parents would just bring us. They'd stay with us the whole time. We'd be home by 9 p.m. But that was it. And then we started writing our own music, like 9th, 10th grade, playing bigger shows, bigger music halls. And by the time it was like junior, senior year, we were killing it. We were playing big shows. Like, it took a little bit for the kids in our grade to kind of like buy into what we were doing, but by that time, like junior, senior year, like everybody was all about it. So it was pretty awesome.
And what led to the end of that?
Immediately after high school, the lead singer, he was like going to the military or something. Then he never ended up doing it. So we took a year kind of off, and then we kind of started back up. And then, so that's when we actually like really started doing very well between like 2010, 2012. Then it got to the point where I was working a job where I was working like 3 or 4 days on, 3 or 4 days off, 12-hour shifts. The bass player worked the same schedule, but opposite days. So we just basically couldn't practice, or we would be practicing like once a month, and it just wasn't feasible to keep going. We weren't able to write songs, basically.
Is this during the time when you started the push-ups and shit like that?
Yeah, I started push-ups like 2009, 2010. So by the time it was like 2011, 2012, when I was with the band, like I was pretty jacked. Yeah, I was getting there. I was powerlifting. I was into strength training.
Oh, so that was while you were still in the band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then how did going from your doing push-ups in your bedroom, I suppose, or basement or bathroom, whatever.
Pull-up bars that attach to the top of the door.
How did that lead into the first gym that you went into? And then how'd that lead into the bodybuilding?
So my girlfriend at the time, her dad had a key fob for like the local YMCA.
Okay.
So he never went. So I just took it and I went. So I was Paul at that time for probably like a year or two before eventually they caught on and they said, you got to go. So then I joined World Gym Webster, where I stayed for pretty up until World Gym Webster closed and we opened Legends.
All right. So while you were at Paul, what did your training look like? Because this is like the very
5x5.
Okay. Yep. So you actually had a plan.
Yes. Yeah. I went on. I'm like, what's protein? What strength training program should I do? And 5x5 popped up. I'm like, yeah, I want to get bigger. I want to get stronger. And I did that, and basically just linear progression for, honestly, it worked for a while, probably like a year, because I was just eating anything in sight.
Yeah.
I got up to 210 before I started cutting down for my first bodybuilding show. So
how did that training change then for your first show? Because your shows were natural.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So my first show was 2011. So at that time, it kind of turned more into just like a generic bro split. Like I was still lifting heavy, but I couldn't, there's no way I could squat 3 days a week. Like, that wasn't feasible anymore. I was too strong for that. Very much just kind of bro split. And my coach, he didn't have much critique for kind of what I was doing in the gym. It was more just like the nutritional aspect of it. So as long as I was hitting each body part once or twice a week, aside from I was still deadlifting and stuff. But aside from that, that was pretty much it. And honestly, I got stronger. Once I got my first diet plan, it was crazy because I realized how much nutrition actually plays a role in this. Because like before, I was just eating anything that had chicken, chicken tenders, chicken wings. It didn't matter. If it had protein, I was eating it. Then once I got my first diet plan and I started to like lose weight, I was almost back to like the newbie stages, because now I'm actually eating stuff that has nutritional value. So even though I'm losing weight, now I'm getting stronger. Yeah. So that was pretty awesome.
What about that first show made you decide to do another one?
I was already in shape for it. I'm like, oh, that was fun. I'll do another one because I knew I could look better. And like the next one was 6 months away. I mean, you know how they stack the local bodybuilding shows. It's like every 6 months. So once you do one, I'm like, screw it. I'll do another one. But then I started getting stronger. I started getting close to that like 600-pound deadlift, and I hit it. And I'm like, dude, like this is.
So were you aware of powerlifting at this time?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Even before bodybuilding, I was aware of powerlifting. I distinctly remember trying to decide which one I should do. And I thought that bodybuilding would be more of a challenge. So I wanted to kind of get that out of the way. I was 100% right. And now I tell everybody like bodybuilding is way harder than powerlifting. You have to commit your whole life to it. 7 meals a day. I mean, I was measuring out like 1/3 of an ounce of peanuts every day, just unsalted, and then chicken breasts. I mean, I was working full time. I was driving, delivering used auto parts. I would be driving with chicken and rice on my lap, driving to like South Buffalo, Jamestown area, just all across New York, because I wanted to get home earlier. I didn't want to pull over and eat for half an hour when I could just like scoop it in my mouth and So that's what I was doing. I was committed, man.
So then what was the catalyst for the first powerlifting competition? Obviously your deadlift was a motivating factor.
Deadlift, yeah. So that was 2013. So after my second show in 2012, I just kind of trained hard, shifted my focus. I didn't really know of any powerlifting meets, but I found out about the one. It was an RPS meet. Excuse me. I think April of 2013 was my first one. And I think I found out about it in like March, and I'm like, screw it, I'll just jump in and do it. I didn't know anybody, really knew nothing. I knew that you had to pause your bench. I knew
that's better than a lot of people.
Yeah. I knew that you had to squat to depth. I knew that you had to wear a singlet, so I got a singlet. I didn't know that you had to wear a t-shirt under the singlet. I didn't know that was a thing. So I remember going to the gym just in a singlet and just bare skin, squatting with a bar, because I thought that's what I had to get used to until I show up and they're like, you need to wear a t-shirt. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I had no idea.
So how did that meet go then?
I totaled 1425, I believe, at 242 in reps. I think I squatted 525, bench 275. I missed 325 twice. Probably because of the pause, and that. And then I deadlifted 625. I think I missed all my thirds. Yeah, I think I missed like 660 or something like that.
So at what point then did you start to take this serious, like at a different level serious?
Yeah, so on that day, that's when I met Casey Bard, who was like my first mentor. He invited me to a private gym in Rochester, basically this guy's garage. This guy, Mike Hine, crazy motherfucker. He was like an old, I guess he was actually like a POW in the Vietnam War or something like that, but he had a really cool setup in his garage. It was basically a group of probably like 6 to 8 guys who trained out of it, and you'd throw like $50 a month. They'd get more equipment, and it was awesome. And that's when I was kind of learning the ropes and like learning that technique matters, learning to push my knees out, just like all the little things that like I didn't really know existed or mattered.
So what was your first day like, right? Because you're going from a gym, right?
Yeah.
And you're driving up to somebody's driveway.
Yeah. So I met him. I, at that time, was watching a lot of Pete Rubish videos. So I'm like, that's what I want to be. So now that I'm not in a commercial gym setting, I can kind of like let loose. So as cringe as it was, like, I'm just going to be loud and be rowdy and just have fun. And like, that's what I did. So a couple of the guys actually didn't really like me for that. Mike hated it, but he tolerated it. But that was cool. That's when I kind of really started to learn, like, there's something more to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were some of the key things during that first, say, 3 months that you were there? Because you kind of talked on technique a little bit. So that can be a tricky one, as you know, as a coach, because you may have to step back before you can go forward. But if you're the guy that's just screaming and yelling and going in there on 9,000 milligrams of caffeine, you may not be real receptive. No, I was still paying attention.
No, I was. Like, I always had my learning hat on. So even though I'd go crazy, like, I'm still trying to just absorb as much as I could to this day. I mean, that's never changed. I'm always just trying to be a student in the game. And I was then too. So like bracing, I don't really know. So fill your belly with air, flex like you're about to get punched in the stomach, push against the belt, sit your hips back on the squat. The way you grip the bar, like set it across, internal external rotation. Just all those little things that I had no idea about. Even like finding like where to grip the bar.
What kind of impact did that have on your numbers
huge.
After the first?
Yeah, huge.
What was the next meet?
Next meet was that July or August. I think I actually bombed out of that.
I want to take a moment to give a shout out to my friends over at Mastonomics. I use their podcast a lot when vetting guests for the Table Talk podcast. I also listen to it a lot just because it cracks me up. Their YouTube channel is great. The podcast is on there, but they also have home gym reviews. Their apparel line is amazing. The standout products for me are these drink spotters. Rarely is it used for holding drinks. We have one on the monolift that holds the collars in between sets, smelling salts, chalk, whatever. You'd be surprised at how much crap you can put into one of these things. Their stall mat coasters they brought out last time they were on the podcast. These things are great. Check out their website, mastonomics.com, as well as their podcast and YouTube channel.
Yeah. I went 220. And what did I hit? I think I missed 655 on the squat. I took my opener, I think it was like 575 or something like that. And then I think I went to, I jumped the rack command. That's what it was. Jumped the rack command on the opener. That's fine. I think I got called for depth on my second. So then,
was that the spring supremacy?
In 2013, it would have been the one after, I think.
The New York State?
Yeah.
Because in New York State, you got a 700, so...
No, it wasn't that. It was my second meet, I think.
Okay, as I look down in here, there's a spring supremacy.
I think the spring supremacy was my first.
Well, there's a zero squat here, I think, in New York State, so that's 2013, so that's a DQ.
Yeah.
All right, so that one,
But I was a lot stronger.
Yeah.
I think I was going for a 1700 total.
Yeah.
So
well, the next year after that, it went to 680, so... right around 650. So you went from, you put like almost 100 pounds on your squat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then where do you think the bench would have been for that meet?
I think it was like 340, 330.
Right, so about 50 pounds on the bench.
Yeah.
And then the deadlift.
What did I think I was trying to hit 700 at
so 75 there. So just being part of this crew.
Yeah.
Within 1 year.
Yeah.
Right. You put 100 on your squat. Granted, the numbers you bombed out, right? So whatever. Yeah. The next year demonstrates it was there. So 100 pounds on your squat, 50 on your bench, and 50 on your deadlift, right? So during that time period, this is a fucked up question, but you'll get where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. How much stronger did you really think you got, right? Because out of that 100 pounds on the squat, I'm going to guess you didn't get 100 pounds stronger, but you displayed 100 pounds more strength. The strength was already there. You just weren't able to display it because your form sucked.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And honestly, my form still did suck. I good morninged all my squats.
Okay.
Because my back was just so strong I would just conventional deadlift all the time. So my back was just always very strong. So it took until probably like 2015, 2016 when I did a little block in briefs. Mm-hmm. This was when like Bob Merkh, you had Bob Merkh.
Yeah.
He switched from raw to multiply, and he was telling me like, you should try block in briefs. So I got briefs. I was sponsored by Anderson Powerlifting at the time, and like I had all my wrist wraps and elbow reps. Like I didn't need shit. They give you like a $500 allowance each year. So I'm like, screw it. I'll just buy briefs. So I did that. And then I swear to God, Dave, like that fixed everything. I stopped caving. I remember taking the briefs off and just going back into the wraps. And the way I was just able to open up my hips effortlessly, my upper back was stronger. I was able to stay upright. That fixed my squat.
Yeah. So that popped your squat up over 750.
Yeah. I don't think that answered your question.
Yeah. Well, it does, because that's an interesting thing, because a lot of people would say to not do that because it will change your technique
for the better.
Yeah, exactly. Right. For that. So did that then become, as you progressed up through the sport, part of your training plan?
No.
It fixed that issue.
And then I just kind of continued with the reps. Yeah. I didn't feel the need to go back to that. Just because it is kind of like such an overload. And then like, where do you really implement it? Like, are you going to go into the off season and then throw briefs on and now you're squatting like overload type weight and then you're taking them off and then trying to peak again? It's kind of a weird thing to do consistently, at least. I think it did work for that one block, but.
So once you dialed all this in before you get to the 2,000 pound total, what did your training look like? So if we were to start after the meet, right? That's usually the best way to do it. So meet's over. You kind of know the next meet's going to be, would you compete maybe once or twice a year?
No, twice a year.
Twice a year.
Yeah, twice.
So the next meet, say 6 months out. So meet's over. What's your plan look like after the meet's over? What was your plan like? Not what you do with your people now. It's gonna be different, right? What was it like?
So at that time, it still was like off season was pretty bro split like. So I would squat once a week, deadlift once a week, have like 2 bench days, like 1 lighter bench day, 1 heavier bench day, like really nothing crazy, kind of just like go heavy on the accessories. Nothing too crazy on the compounds, like higher rep kind of stuff. From there, I would, the program that worked really well for me was actually like the Lillibridge method, basically. So that alternating every other week. So I was always like, I knew that I was going to run something similar to that going into the peaks. And for me, I think that's actually kind of an interesting thing because a lot of people, at least these days, like peaks are different. Like that was kind of like the blueprint, and it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Until I run a peak that's like that similar structure and it like doesn't work, why would I change it? So yeah, I mean, it was pretty basic.
Yeah. So how far out would that peak start?
10 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what degree were you trying to increase your strength in that off season? I don't like the words off-season priest, but anyhow, were you trying to increase your strength or just maintain at a certain level?
Just kind of maintain. Yeah. Right. At that point, more just kind of maintenance. If I can build up some weak points, let my joints kind of recover. Like I battled some tendonitis, man. Excruciating. Like I couldn't make a fist. There would be days, and even like during prep, and then at that point it's just unavoidable, where I could not squeeze and make a fist. And I'm sure you've seen that, to where like you're trying to bench and it gets to about like halfway and it just collapses and there's nothing you can do about it. So kind of like trying to manage that, just get healthy again, and then kind of move into the peak as healthy as I can. How
would you manage that in the off season where you have more flexibility?
Don't go as heavy. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Don't go as heavy. At least not as heavy on bench. But then I actually found out that like the real catalyst of it was the low bar squatting. But it took me a while to kind of figure that out. So that was a problem. I get into the off season and like, I wouldn't be going as heavy with the low bar squats, but that's still really aggravating the elbow. And having the squat day before the bench day, which is what I had at that time, it was just aggravating the shit out of my elbow. So I wish I had a good answer of like how I mitigated that, because I kind of didn't, just ibuprofen, until later on, like I realized, I'm like, all right, well, I'll bench before I squat. And now that's how I program a lot of my athletes too. Like I don't like having, especially if they're low bar squatting, I don't like having the low bar squat the day before you bench, because then you show up to bench, you're like, oh, my elbow's bugging me, I got this tendonitis going on. Just flip flop those, bench first, and then you can gut it out. Even if it's bothering you like a little bit on a squat, it's not going to kill you. That and throw on elbow sleeves.
All right. And so when you get into the peak, elaborate a little bit more on the Lillibridge method, because people aren't going to know.
Yeah. So you'll have you'll be squatting and benching on the same day, and that's basically the premise behind the entire thing. So it's either a light squat followed by a heavy deadlift, and the heavy deadlift is like one set at a certain percentage, just taken to basically failure. The following week will be the opposite. It'll be a heavy squat followed by like a speed deadlift. And same thing. You're taking the heavy squat, certain percentage to failure. I think, and I would kind of just backtrack depending on how long I wanted to peak. I'd start at like maybe like 84%, do the AMRAP with that. That'll last 2 weeks. Then it's going to like 87%. Then it's going to 90. And then once it gets past 90, I would do just like singles. So like 93% single, or then like I think the final heavy would be like a single, like 96, 97%. So that kind of set the mark for like what I would want to hit next peak. So if I know I'm going to run a similar program, I know I hit like, I don't know, 5 reps with 685 on squat or deadlift. Next peak, if I can hit 5 reps with 695 or 685 again for more reps, I'm progressing.
So you stayed with the same percentage for 2 training sessions?
Yes.
And then moved it up that way. So on the second training session of the squat, so squat heavy, deadlift heavy, squat heavy, that's it. That's a 2-week block.
Yeah.
Or the 4, it's a 4, yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so whatever reps are hit on week 1, you're trying to beat the number of reps on the second time you do it?
No, because I mean, at that percentage, like we're talking, I'm trying to think, if I'm like squatting 700 and I hit 700 for like 5 reps at probably like 86-ish percent, if I go up to like 88 to 89%, that's going to be like 715, 720, 725, something like that. Like I'm probably not getting 5 reps out of that, but if I can get 4, that's looking pretty good.
All right, so let's backtrack. Are there 2 sessions with the same percent?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's what I thought.
The percentages will increase.
Every time. Okay.
Yep. So week 1, week 3, week 5, week 7, those percentages increase.
And then how that weight feels is going to determine if you're going to drop that rep or not.
Yeah.
Right. Which more than likely is going to drop anyhow.
Yeah.
And it's all backtracked from what you want to hit at the meet, which is based upon what?
I would usually go off of conservative estimates. So even like, I wouldn't go off of like, oh, I want to hit 750 at this meet. That's the number I'm going to use, and that's the percentage I'm going to go by. It's more like, what am I currently at now? Because then I'll just use a calculator. So if I know like 86% is my current 86% of my current 100%, I know if I can beat 5 reps, I'm good. If I can hit 6, that's progress.
Well, what do you mean by where you are at now? Because if you're 16 weeks out,
last meet.
Okay,
last meet. Yeah. If, I don't know. If I left 10 pounds on the table, it's all right. So I was good for 735.
Yeah. So the first few weeks should definitely be doable, but still hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, there's no, like, there's a number that I want to hit, but if I'm 1 rep short, it's not the end of the day. You're fine. Mm-hmm. But it's being able to kind of process that too. I mean, some lifters are so like gung-ho on, oh, if I don't hit this number, then I'm not going to be able to hit this number next week, and then I'm not going to hit this number at the meet, and oh, my world is falling apart. Like,
did you have to learn that from that?
No, I mean, I'm pretty even keeled when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I mean, there's so many variables that can come into play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, did you sleep that day? And the job I was working at that time, throughout that entire stint, I was working a job where I worked 3 or 4 days on, 3 or 4 days off, like I said, and I would switch every week from day shift to night shift, 12-hour shifts. So 6A to 6P, did that for 3 days, then I'm off for 3 or 4 days, then I do 6P to 6A, 3 or 4 days. It was fucking brutal. Like, I didn't realize how much of a toll it took on me until after I left and got my current job. So that, like, my sleep was just fucked. It was so bad. I mean, there'd be nights where I would be awake all night. And I've had sleep issues my whole life, pretty much ever since puberty. I can usually fall asleep okay, but then once I wake up, my brain turns on. I'll just be tossing and turning. So, and at that time with that schedule, I mean, there's just no regularity there. So it was just... Oh God. Oh, it was bad. It was bad, Dave.
So how many training days a week did you have?
4.
All right. So we already talked about the squat and the deadlift.
Yeah.
Training session 1, probably the most important one.
Yeah.
And then where's the bench fall?
Oh, God.
Then it was after the squat, right?
Yeah. I know there was, there was a speed bench day. I forget what the protocol was for that heavy bench day. I think it was something similar, but it was more than 1 set. I'd have to look back, to be honest. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what the bench protocol was. I know there was like a close grip AMRAP on like the speed day, big accessory day. But Yeah, I don't remember at that time.
All right, then what were
probably because my elbow was so distracted from being here all the time. Like, I just need to get through this and leave the gym now.
And so what were the other 2 days?
So the other two, there was a lower accessory day. I think that incorporated like front squats or hack squats, some kind of like quad work. And then I don't believe there were any hinge type movements, and then just kind of basic, leg extension, leg curls, stuff like that. Then the other 2 days were the 2 bench days. So you had like the lower kind of dynamic bench day, which consisted of like, I think it was like close grip AMRAPs at a given percentage. I really don't recall the heavy bench day, the primary bench. I really don't.
So
I've just always been so bad at bench. I try to just block it.
Just fucking ignore it.
It never happens.
Just ignore it. With the work schedule, did you have enough foresight to move your squat day based upon that after a while?
Yeah, I would try. Yeah, I would try. Like usually deadlift was the one that I could get away. Like if I worked night shift, I could get away with showing up at like 2 p.m. and just getting the deadlift out of the way during the day. Squat was definitely the one where I'm like getting wrapped. I want to put that on either a day I'm off or on like the final day that I work. Like after 6 p.m. I could just go straight to the gym, get wrapped, get my squat done, and then be good there.
So at what point did you move from this garage to, I believe it was a World Gym, right?
Yes. 2011, I think.
Yeah. What was the reason for that?
I got kicked out of the YMCA for using my
well, not the YMCA, because after the YMCA.
Oh, no, you're right. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no. East End Barbell is what he called it. I forget why. I think one of the guys owned like half the equipment, and then he was moving, so he was going to take that equipment, and I think that's just kind of how it kind of fizzled away. And there were only like 6 to 8 of us total.
So did that throw you into a situation where you're training by yourself now? No,
because I think I was training at World Gym Webster at the time anyway. Because I switched from the YMCA to World Gym Webster prior to doing my first meet. So I just kept my membership at World Gym Webster. Yeah. So I didn't bother like canceling that membership and only training at East End.
Yeah.
So they kind of just coincided. So when it was like that kind of dissipated, I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm doing my thing at Worlds anyway.
Did you have somebody over there that you were training with? So when that went over full time?
Not really. And that was kind of like a motivating factor to kind of like start up getting a crew getting a crew kind of going. And that's when like, for me, it was like trying to seeing if I could make powerlifting cool in the community by like putting out these videos and getting super hype. Because again, the Pete Rubish thing, I would just make stupid videos like that and just show energy, and a couple of people would get on board, and like people were learning what powerlifting was, because now everybody knows what it is. At that time, no one knew what it was. I tell people like I'm doing a powerlifting meet next weekend. They're like, oh, what's that? They have no idea. Now you go to a regular commercial gym, people know what powerlifting is. So it's grown quite a bit since then. So that's kind of what I was trying to do, get people more involved with it, and it worked. We ended up gaining some more people, and then World Gym Webster kind of began, and I was able to convince the owner of World Gym Webster to get a monolift, get a deadlift bar, get some Forza benches at the time, and it brought some people in. So
what was that process like? Because there's a lot of people out there now maybe trying to build their own crew, and it's different today because everybody kind of knows, and nobody knew back then what it even was. Right. So,
well, they saw me. They saw me either at the gym doing it, and I kind of knew everybody at the gym. So it was just like talking to them, informing them like what I'm doing. Some of the younger people who may be interested or kind of strong, it's like, hey, you should do this, or like, what do you think you could bench? Even just like challenging them in the gym. Like, what do you think you could hit on bench? Like, that's cool. Maybe you should do it on the platform. Do the next meet with me, whatever. Like, it's very simple. People want to know like what they can lift, whether or not it's on the platform or in the gym. So if they're like, all right, yeah, let me see if I can spend 4 weeks to try to build my bench up or build my squat up, hit that in the gym, like, sweet.
Well, it's simple, but there's also a high turnover rate.
There is.
Right. So that's frustrating if you're the one that's training for the meets.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you have a decent crew, but then the day that you really need people there.
Yeah, no, I had a couple guys that I could really rely heavily upon. A couple guys who would wrap my knees, who like I really leaned on, who I trusted and knew would be there for sure. So as long as I had like 1 or 2 guys, I was fine. Whereas now, now that I'm training multiply, it's a little bit trickier because you need more than one guy that you can call. But having the gym now, that helps. There's powerlifters everywhere. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So how did it go from a world gym to you starting your own gym?
Me and my business partner, Dave Heisinger, he owns his own remodeling company. I initially was trying to buy World Gym Webster from the owner because he was kind of just out of it. He was never really present. His wife actually unfortunately passed away, I think like 5 to 10 years before the business ended up closing for him. And since then, he just kind of wasn't really involved much. And I could see that. And I was a personal trainer at Worlds. I started personal training in 2018, I think it was. So I was pretty much in contact with Brian every month. Brian's the owner. And I could just tell, like, he just wasn't as invested, and he voiced that to me a couple times. So it got to be 2021, I think it was, and I was considering making an offer on the gym, kind of just feeling out if he'd be interested. And that's when my business partner, Dave, was like, hey, man, like, why don't we go into this together? He's like, I can handle the business side of things because I don't really know much about the business side of stuff.
All right, guys, I want to take a moment to speak about the World Powerlifting Organization, the WPO. Some dates to pay attention to. November 7th and 9th is going to be the WPO Pro and the WPO World Cup. This is going to be in York, Pennsylvania, the gym and museum. The WPO Pro is an invite-only meet. The competitors are selected from the top 30 out of open powerlifting multiply using the Gloss-Brenner formula. The roster is determined by lifter availability and qualifying scores. The WPO World Cup, that's open to the first through third place finishers from any of their national championships. All divisions eligible. There is a 60 limit lifter per day. Federation heads must submit their competitor list to Wayne Pullum. Check out the WPO at World Powerlifting Organization at gmail.com.
I powerlift. I know the equipment. I know the social media. And Dave, being that he has his own remodeling company, like, that's huge. So there's a lot of value in that. I'm like, all right, man. So we talked to Brian, and he's like, you know what? This is something I could entertain. So he owned the building itself and the business. So we made a couple offers, and he owned that business since like 1995, something like that, a while. And he just kept saying no. He's like, no, it's got to be more. It's got to be more. It's got to be more. And we're like, Brian, like, the bathrooms are shit. The roof leaks nonstop. There's someone up there every month plugging these holes, and then there's buckets in the gym just catching water. The windows, like, the HVAC system shot. So we had to basically beg him, after he made like our third offer, beg him to come out to the gym just so we can show him these issues. Because I know, like, in his mind, what he's picturing this building as is like the quality for when he moved in there. But he just didn't see it. So he made this final offer, and then he sends this email to Dave and I. He's like, hey guys, I appreciate your offer. I made a decision. I'm going to send an email out in the next day or two with my decision. So very ominous. I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means. And the next day at like 9 a.m., World Gym Webster is closing at the end of the month. So that gave us like 3.5 weeks. That was May of 2022. Dave and I, we didn't have a business plan. We didn't have equipment. We didn't have space. We had nothing. And then that same day, so I got on the phone with Dave, and we're like, dude, we're screwed because everybody's just going to kind of dissipate. Everybody's just going to leave, find another gym. I'm like, if we're going to try to open this gym, we got to do it in 3.5 weeks. So that same day, this place popped up, like 2,300 square feet. It was an old personal training studio. Had the gym floor, had a couple small locker rooms. Literally that same day. And I'm like, and I actually knew the guy who put that up. I knew that personal trainer. So I called him. I'm like, hey man, is this available like now? He's like, yes. I'm like, all right. I called Dave. I'm like, hey man, like it's small. It's not exactly what we were looking for, but we could do this and just start small. He's like, let's do it. So we managed to open in 3.5 weeks. We opened June 2nd, 4th, something like that. So there was really only like a week of time between the time World Gym Webster closed and we opened Legends. We had to get everything, man. And I called Brian. I'm like, hey, would you be willing to sell us some of your equipment? He's like, absolutely. I was hoping you guys would come to me for that. I'm like, sweet. He didn't do us any favors. He charging us $2 a pound for the plates. He's like, hey, this is just what the machines are going for. He would send me a link for each piece of equipment. I'm like, Brian, we kept you in business for 10 years, man. Like, we're buying in bulk. Like, you're not going to help us out at all. He's like, no, I mean, I could just, I could sell it for this price. He sent me a link for like a used piece of equipment. I'm like, all right. We said, fuck it. We just bought it. Like, we'll just be done with it. So we got the equipment, got the monolift, got the competition bench, just started very small and somehow managed to open in three weeks. Yeah. It was the most intense 3 weeks of my life.
How many? Yeah, no shit. Yeah, because you got liability. I got everything. We had to get the key fob system set up. I mean, it came down to the final day. We were doing a big grand opening on Saturday. On Friday, I'm on the phone with, God, what was it? Like the company, the billing company, and they had some token number. I'm like, well, they're like, yeah, we can get that token number to you in 2 weeks. I'm like, no, I need the token number like now, because without that number, I can't integrate it with the Gym Master membership software. I can't integrate it with that. Without that, I can't put it on the website. We can't do memberships. They're like, all right, we'll give you a call. So I'm sitting there waiting, like the entire business is just online waiting for this token number. They didn't call. It gets to be like 4 p.m. I'm calling. I get them back on the phone. They give me this number. I'm able to put it in. The electrician is there. I put in the number. They get everything set up. The electrician's running the wires. Like, it came down to, I think that night at like 6:30 p.m. we were able to process the first key fob. So we were able to open, do the grand opening on Saturday. How many people did you have that migrated over?
Not as many as we were hoping for. And that's another thing. Everybody was saying, oh yeah, we'll join. And I'm sure you've seen that kind of shit. It's like, people say a lot. Committing to it is another thing. So that day, I think we had like 35 members on that Saturday. And then it grew to like 50 over the next couple weeks. And, we actually ended up expanding at the end of the year. We knocked on a wall. We gained another 500 square feet to make it like 27 or 2,800. And I think at that point we had like a little over 150, something like that, 150. Yeah, but then we even quickly outgrew that place. And now we're at another location, just over 5,000 square feet, literally like a stone's throw away, but just a big warehouse, couple bay doors. It's fucking awesome. And we moved there in last year. Yeah, 2024, June. Yeah. So it's been good, man.
Yeah. How long did it take to break even, to get to a break even?
For like our initial investment?
Yes.
We actually just did. This was actually the first year we put a little bit of money into our pockets, not a ton, a little bit. So then next year we should be nice and profitable. So yeah, we're in a good spot right now for sure.
Good. Yeah. Now, at what point because you're working as a personal trainer, so now you're a gym owner, but coach and there's a crew. So you wear a lot of hats, being a gym owner.
Yeah.
So at what point did the coaching, because you still compete now, but I'm going to guess that the competing is a lower priority than the coaching.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
But it wasn't always the case.
No. Well, no, it was, because like when I hit that 2,000 pound total in 2017, I wasn't personal training then. So that all that time prior to 2017, I would consider myself all in. I am I'm doing the multiply stuff now, I am not all in. I know that because I've been there. So when I started personal training in like 2018, that quickly transitioned to more like strength coaching because that was just the demographic. That's who started coming to me. I did get a couple like Gen Pop clients who were good to work with. I think getting that kind of experience is very helpful, but it quickly transitioned into more like strength coaching and programming for strength athletes and then powerlifters. And now it's primarily powerlifters or people just looking to get bigger, stronger. I got a couple of those too. But that was probably like 2019, 2020, where it turned more into like the strength training and kind of when like the crew officially started, I guess you could say.
So when you say that with a 2,000 pound total, you were all in, now with the multiply, you're not all in. What are the differences between those two?
I got too much going on.
Yeah.
And the priorities of like, I have 30 athletes who are paying me money to provide a service. If I were to look at them in the face and say, my goal is more important than what you guys are trying to accomplish. So my priority is my 1,000 pound squat on it. They'd tell me to go fuck myself, or at least I hope they would, because that's just, it's not fair to them. So, I mean, that's my priority first and foremost. So I'm traveling to Atlanta in 2 weeks for the Powerlifting America Open Nationals to handle an athlete. And I'm 10 weeks out for my next meet. Like if I was all in, I would say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you. And I would be focused on my own training because I'm missing like 2 or 3 days of training then.
No, but as being in this for so long, you know how to mitigate that, right? So it's I mean, the all in thing is an interesting thing because people are conveniently all in for the things that they want to conveniently be all in for, which may not necessarily always be the best for what their total is going to be, right? There's many examples of that to where you kind of realize as you mature in the sport, like sleep matters, nutrition matters, but you were all in before all that, but not all in enough to make sure you actually got your sleep.
I'm prescribed. I'm actually prescribed a sleep medication, and I did a sleep study, and they basically said like, you have mild sleep apnea. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so what can I do to change that? They're like, well, I'm sitting there with a sleep specialist. He's like, well, you need to change your work schedule. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. That doesn't help at all, man. So I take trazodone at night, which helps me sleep. But I mean, honestly, like since then, now I'm on day shift at my current job, and it's been much better. So yeah, I mean, that schedule was that's what shot me in the foot. But I somehow still managed to get stronger. I think it was just more like a psychological thing of why I couldn't sleep. So it wasn't like not giving myself enough time or, not doing the right things before bed. It was more just waking up and being like, fuck, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Rolling around and it sucks.
And then asking yourself why you can't fall back to sleep.
Yes. And then looking at the clock and I only have 3 more hours to sleep, rolling around. I have 2 more hours to sleep. And now I'm just looking at the clock, counting down for when I actually have to get up at 4 a.m. to get ready for work. Yeah. I don't miss those days. Yeah.
What was the catalyst for moving into multiply?
Paul Childress. He posted... Well, I've always like sort of had an interest. Ever since I wore the briefs, I'm like, well, after my raw days are over, which they kind of were, there weren't any numbers I was shooting for. I hit the numbers that I wanted to hit. I thought like maybe someday I could get into multiply. And then Paul posted something in like, must have been like February, March of 2023, posting that he was offering multiply coaching. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I haven't competed in a year and a half. Totally just haven't really gone hard in a year and a half. I opened the gym and that was my priority up to that point. I'm like, I could probably do it. Like if there was one person that could help me do it, that I'm familiar with, it would be Paul. So I saw that and I'm like, all right. I reached out. I'm like, hey man, this RPS meet in Rochester in my hometown, it's 14 weeks out. I'm like, I've squatted in briefs once. For one block like many years ago. I'm not strong right now. I'm like, can you help me get there? He's like, yes. So that was it.
So what was that transition like for you?
It was a lot of fun. It was just like exciting. a brand new challenge, which is what I wanted. I'm like, this is pretty sweet. And just putting a lot of trust into him and what he's doing and just trying to absorb everything. I remember going out to Childress's gym and getting in a suit for the first time. And I haven't had anything heavy on my back. God, I mean, even the last meet I did, I think it was at 220 in Erie, PA, a raw meet in like 2021. And, I don't know. I squatted like 633 or something like that. I think I missed 661, but and after that, I didn't really train hard at all. I was just not chasing any PRs. So I go out, I get in a suit, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a suit that'll fit you." He's like, "I got a shirt that'll fit you." I told him like my size, and he knew immediately what shirt and what suit would fit me, and like he nailed it. Mm-hmm. So I get in it, and I squatted like 745 like high, and he's like, "Yeah, I think you can hit 900 at your meet." I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Are you looking to extend your career in the gym? It's one of the questions that I'm asked most frequently. I'm Dave Tate from elitefts. When it comes to longevity in the gym, I look no further than the support gear that you're using. By support gear, this is one of our custom made blockers, by the way, strength equipment, elitefts.com. I know a little bit about it. I've been doing this for 4 decades. So wrist wraps, straps, belts, knee wraps. There's so many different types of support wear out there that where we can help you the most is we only provide the stuff that's the best. So if you're looking to extend your longevity in the gym, head over to elitefts.com, top toolbar, power gear, hamburger blowout, power gear.
He's like, yeah, as long as we do everything right, you'll hit 9. Lo and behold, 900, went 3 for 3.
Yeah, so what did the training look like?
So it was pretty much like getting in a suit every 3 weeks or so. You had your Circa Max week, which, oh God, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. That was crazy.
How so? Walk me through it.
Bands, like the bands on the squat. I think I was just in briefs, but like heavy bands to where the monolift was almost like lifting up. Just crazy. I mean, he told me to put these bands on. Like, I don't know. We should have done chains or some shit like that because the monolift was like shaking. And oh God, just like the pressure of it. But I mean, it's fun. It had me ready for sure. So that was pretty fun. Yeah, and learning how to bench in a shirt. I was in a very loose shirt, like a 56, and I'm 242, so like nothing crazy, like big chest plate. But learning that groove, I mean, he just helped me through everything, and he would spend time. He would call me every week, and just talk my ear off for an hour. Mm-hmm. It was special having him there, and then the meet that was in Rochester where I totaled that 2150. It was actually an 8 for a 9 day. I got called for depth on the first squat. Paul said it was bullshit, by the way. Mm-hmm. But it was a perfect day. Hit every third, and Paul shed a tear, and that was special to me. It ended up being the last meet that Paul was ever at, and mm-hmm. being able to kind of share that moment together, know that I made him proud that day, and everybody else, Alicia was there, and everybody from Childress was there. It was really special, really, really cool.
Did you find that training harder to recover from the training sessions that you were doing before?
Yes and no. Like, I would feel like not as physically beat up, but it was a different type of like feeling like you got hit by a truck. Like raw, different. It's very different. Like I felt tired, mm-hmm. but not as like physically tired, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing if you can verbalize it in a way that others would be able to understand. You know,
like not as much like muscle soreness.
Like you got hit by a truck is how I explain it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And the pressure, I think the best way I can describe. So, a lot of the lifters who train at Legends, they're raw lifters. We got a lot of like USAPL guys. When I talk to them about like the multiply lifting and what it's like, when I tell them like, when you're grinding through a third attempt squat, whatever, and you start to get that like tunnel vision and everything starts to go black, it's like that, but the second you unrack it,
yeah,
you unrack it, and all of a sudden it's just soul crushing, and then you get the squat command.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you got to go down, and then you're trying to think of like, all right, am I pushing my head back far enough? Am I sitting back far enough? Like, is the bar path good? Because the margin for error is just so much smaller. So it's very much like a thinking man's game too, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now with the crew of lifters that you work with, now we'll move on to how you trained, right? To how you're going to program the people that you work with, right?
Yeah.
Because I assume there's a number of them that you're working with at the same time.
Definitely.
All right. So you have to develop this in some kind of group environment, right? Which
you mean like literally at the same time?
At the same time.
No. So all of my coaching is basically virtual.
Okay.
So I have this crew coaching app, which allows me to program them. Pretty much everything runs through the app. So they can send me messages, their training videos through the app. All the metrics are done within the app. So I have a lot of athletes from kind of the New York general vicinity area, Syracuse, Buffalo, etc. Like outside of Rochester. I don't do any one-on-one personal training anymore.
Okay.
Which I love, by the way. Like I have no interest in spending like hour sessions.
Yeah. Do you have crews of lifters that come in to train at your place?
Sometimes, yeah. So we have a USPA meet coming up this Sunday at Legends. So like we had a little like opener, last lift, little like group session on Sunday, the week before the meet. So we'll do stuff like that, which is cool. And like I'll have these lifters come in from like Syracuse or Buffalo or whatever, just to come train at the meet or train at the gym. So get a little one-on-ones.
All right. So with the lifters that you do work with, how do you lay their programming out?
I mean, it depends on the lifter, right? So, I mean, usually like I found the sweet spot generally is like 4 days a week. But I work with such a wide variety of lifters. I mean, I got some girls that are like, 132 pounds. And then I got a couple guys. I got one guy, Will O'Neill, 308, who just totaled 2,000. I got another guy, Chris Morrow. He's another 308. Well, he may be going more like 275 now. But he's looking to total 2,000. So like, that's a pretty wide discrepancy there of like how they can each recover. So like with Chris, he's not going to be getting like 5 sets of squats at like 80%. It's just way too much when he's squatting 700 pounds, where it's like these girls, they tend to be able to handle more volume in general.
So what would the base programming look like? The base periodization look like?
So base, I mean, I like to start, this is very general, but I like to start with like lower day, like squat base day, and then like a deadlift day, and then primary bench, secondary bench. Sometimes I'll throw in like a tertiary bench on like either a squat or a deadlift day, depending. I mean, the girls tend to be able to handle a little bit more of those like 3 day a week bench sessions. Guys can, and a lot of the programming these days with like the USAPL, Powerlifting Merkh type programs, a lot of those are like very sub-max. So they like to do just SBD all the time, just very high specificity kind of stuff, which can work. I tend to like to push a little bit more into the strength range a little bit. So not always just like RPE6, RPE5, everything, technique work. Because if they're technically sound, if they're already technically sound, we know strength is a skill, then why do I keep just programming them like RPE5 singles on the bench? It's like, what are they really, I mean, what kind of stimulus are they really getting out of it? They're already good. So let's push that.
So when you intake them, you're looking at how they're currently training.
Yes.
And then instead of just pushing that aside and saying, here, start on this template, you're taking what is currently working for them and then making modifications to that. Yeah.
And it's important to know what they did before. And I always like to ask, all right, what were you doing before? What didn't work for you? What has worked for you in the past that you feel you responded well to? And then I like getting into like, what are your favorite accessory movements? What do you enjoy doing? And they'll always have a list of movements. And then from there, it's like, all right, well, what movements do you dislike? And then 9 times out of 10, they'll go, I'll do whatever, as long as it's something that works, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, well, the reason I ask that is because if you dislike a movement, and I program it for you, you're not going to try as hard on it. Whereas if I give you an alternative movement that maybe not as optimal per se, but that you really enjoy doing, then psychologically you're going to go into it and I know you're going to bust your ass on that. Where it's like if you don't like doing like Bulgarians, and I obviously like single leg press, you're getting the balance thing out of the equation, but like you hate doing Bulgarians, maybe I just wanted to load that one side unilaterally. All right, we'll just do single leg press, but I know you're going to bust your ass on that single leg press, then I'm going to program that over Bulgarians. So once I tell them that, then they're like, oh, okay. Then they have all of a sudden they have a list of movements that they really hate doing. Now, sometimes I may still program those, but knowing that, I think plays a big role. Like I want you to at least enjoy going to the gym. If you go to the gym and you hate your program, it's probably not going to do much for you.
Yes. How have you seen, since you've been coaching lifters, what are the trends that you've seen that used to be there that are no longer there, that have been replaced? You know, it could be, let's go training wise before we go technique wise. But what are the things training wise that used to drive you absolutely insane years ago that are really no longer an issue today?
Training wise, things that drove me insane. Can you give me an example?
Bracing on the squat to where they take a breath and the bar goes like,
Dave, I just made a video on that. Yes, that drives me nuts. Yeah, actually, that is one. You see these guys brace, big shoulder shrug, then they'll slam their shoulders down. I'm like, what? What are you doing? Like any extension through the spine, if you're raising your traps up, where do you think the air is going? It's not going down into your belly. You want to be compressing your shoulders and trying to expand your belly 360 degrees. So all of this shrugging shit, like I just don't get it. So anytime I see an athlete that's doing that, I'm like, we're cutting that out. So we'll go to meets, and that's actually one thing I really like about the crew, and like kind of being able to oversee it all. Like when we go to meets, our lifters' technique, they look good, and I am very proud of that, because then I'm watching other people's technique, and I was like, man, it's just little shit like that, or having their hands, or having their hands like really, really, really close, thinking that like, all right, now my back is really tight. Like it feels tight because your arms are now flexed, but is it actually enhancing your upper back stability at all? Or are now your arms just going to kind of be aggravated? Your forearms are flexed and everything. Whereas if you retract your scaps, depress your shoulders, as long as your back can stay tight, regardless of where you have your hands, it doesn't really matter. So go with what's comfortable for you, what allows you to kind of keep your elbows down, instead of just, well, what's the closest I can bring my grip in? Because that's kind of irrelevant when it comes to the squat, right? So those are a couple of things that drive me.
What are some of the other things that you see with the newer lifters that come into you? Because you're going to see more of the issues with the newer ones that come in.
One that actually just came, I mean, this is kind of a silly one, but one that actually just came to me, wearing like the footwear on deadlift. It's like a little race heel, like, oh yeah, I've always pulled like that. It feels good for me. Like, okay, don't. Not only is it obviously increasing the range of motion, it's putting you forward on your toes. You want to avoid that. So little things just like equipment, belt, bracing's probably the biggest one. A lot of these newer lifters, they just don't really know how to brace properly. So that's number one in my opinion.
So how do you walk them through learning how to brace properly?
Expand the belly, like really just push out like you're pregnant. That's the kind of feeling that you want to get. Expand 360 degrees and then flex like you're about to be punched in the stomach. When I'm doing that, and you can practice that throughout the day, and I'll tell them that too. Like it doesn't need to just be when you have your belt on, when you're about to squat. You can be sitting in a chair at home, just practice pulling in, flexing. You didn't see my shoulders move when I just did that. That tells you that you're bracing properly. Flex like you're about to get punched in the stomach. Make that as big as possible. And that's one thing that a lot of these girls actually kind of struggle with, because it's not as pretty, expanding. They don't like having to push their belly out like that, but that's definitely the idea behind it. So anytime I'm watching a video from the side, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the belly. I want to see before they start the descent, that start to go. It's actually another one, kind of descending prior to bracing. I'll see some of these lifters, they'll start to descend and they're kind of like pulling in air at the same time, or they're just not quite braced, or just inconsistencies there. Like some reps they're braced, some reps they're not. So it's just kind of fine tuning that.
I see that
Yeah.
a lot with just not just that, but you'll get this because you squatted 900 multiply and, over 700 raw, is they don't even let the fucking weight settle. It's like they make the pick, and the pick's really not tight to begin with.
Yeah.
And then instead of making sure their feet are rooted, everything's in the right position, that they're braced, that everything's ready to go, they just go.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck? Like, what the fuck? And that's, you can see immediately, like, now you're already half an inch out of position. That's not going to get better.
No.
It's going to turn into like 1 inch, then 2 inches, then you're doing a fucking good morning to get out, where all you had to do was stand there. Take more time.
And I think a lot of it is the pick itself. Because if you take someone who's good at a monolift and you put them on a combo rack and tell them to walk the weight out, I bet they can walk that weight out pretty damn good, because they're going to be braced, their shoulders are going to be down, their feet are going to be set, they're going to get a big breath, they're going to stand up with it, they're going to let it settle, and they're going to be good. Then at that point, it's just taking a couple steps back. Whereas a lot of these newer lifters today, you look at them in a combo rack, a lot of their walkouts are trash. Their unracks, like, not good. And then, or you see them like kind of shrug it off the rack, they're going, their upper back's rounded, their head's way forward, and then they try to correct that prior to getting the squat command.
Yeah. 7 steps later.
7 steps later. Good luck doing that with 100% on your back.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, if you want to expose them, throw them in a monolift and see them try to stand up, get that monolift arm out of there and squat. See if they can do that. They will have a hard time doing that. I bet the majority of these, these USAPL powerlifting Merkh, pretty much anything with a combo rack, you put them in a mono, it would expose them quite a bit, I'm sure.
Well, with the way all the competition racks are now, if they have to walk out, they're nothing like what they used to be. Like when I first started competing, it was like a tire that actually held, the post that you squatted. So you had to take a couple steps just to clear the fucking tire, because if you put your feet out, where now you barely have to do a walkout at all. Actually, you could just set one foot.
Pretty much.
Stand up and bring the other foot back.
As long as it clears a little bench.
Yeah, because it will clear that area, because it's not, but yet they'll still take, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're 3 foot away from the fucking rack. And it's like, what do you, it makes it's a lot of wasted energy. And just on that.
Yeah.
And that I see a lot, but just even on the bench, just letting the bar settle before they go down, it's where, I'm biased, but everybody should do gear once. Right? It's just to kind of learn how to let all that shit settle. Yeah. So they learn how to do that, because on the bench, you got to let your shoulders, they have to depress the weight. The weight, that's what the weight's there for, but they'll be like this, and they just held it, but we get right into that position. So what are the same things that you see we'll stay on the bench? What are some things that you see there?
Things that bother me on the bench.
Well, things that you see with the lifters that you have to.
Oh, lining up too far away, or like eye level, to where they're kind of like reaching back, rack heights that aren't conducive to them. I'm trying to think, like, technique wise, leg drive, ass coming up. The butt coming up is a pretty common one. From there, oh God, what's his name? Big benches. He always has a good. Oh, I forget his name. I apologize. But he always has some really good bench videos on, basically just widen your feet out. You widen your feet out, your hips aren't going to physically be able to come off the bench. So like anytime I've seen that with my lifters, it's pretty much like, all right, widen up, root your feet, drive the knees out. You're going to feel a whole bunch of tension going right up your quad into your hips, flex the glutes, push back, push into the front of your shoes, back into your traps. your hips should stay in line. If you can physically lift your ass off the bench, then it's probably not the right setup for you. It's just go a little bit wider. And that kind of fixes the problem. So it's all about the setup, really. Yeah.
So what do you see with the deadlift?
Slack. Yeah. Just not getting the slack out of the bar, yanking the bar. If you looked at any of my deadlift videos, bad. Like it's definitely like do as I say, not as I do. Throughout like up until 2017, I did end up correcting that slack pull issue, but just not getting the slack out of the bar, rushing it. See the elbows kind of bending and just yanking the bar. That's a big one. So just kind of taking your time on the approach on the deadlift, making sure the weight is mid-foot prior to initiating the pull.
Now, what are the physical weak points that you'll see with the lifters that you've worked with?
Like trying to group them all into one.
Well, yeah, I mean, just give me an example of one. So said they're falling forward, on the squat after the bottom. Yeah.
So, I mean, that tells me that actually, one of the girls who's competing at the Powerlifting America meet next weekend, her back is super strong. So it's similar to the issue that like I had where her hips would shoot back. Her back just takes the entire load and she's strong enough to get through it because that's basically what's happening. So because of, it's a weakness in the quad. So because of not weakness, but not as strong as her back. So what happens is your body is going to naturally revert to what allows you to get the weight up any way possible. So because her back's so strong, the hips are shooting back, hamstrings and her erectors are basically taking over to get that weight up. So what we've been doing is a lot of like heel elevated kind of stuff, just trying to hammer those quads. And then we've also been doing concentric tempo, which I think is underutilized. So instead of just focusing on the eccentric, we're pausing her at the bottom of a squat and then giving her like 3 seconds on the way up. So that's allowing her to consciously push through the quads. I want the hips and the shoulders to be rising at the same time. And since doing those, like, I mean, granted, her squat's not perfect yet, but watching her do those concentric tempos, they look perfect. So now, I mean, going to the off season, I'm just going to continue with that for sure. So I think like concentric tempos, I know a lot of people don't really do those. I don't know why. Like I've kind of just somewhat recently started implementing those, but I love it. I think that really, it can solve a lot of problems, just getting them to feel the movement pattern that you want on the concentric.
Well, you made a good point there with that one example that, at a certain point through the meet prep, you can work on these things, but at a certain point you got to dance with what you got. Yeah. And then just ride it out. But if you can remember, what that is, and that gets implemented immediately in the off season.
And then cueing too.
Down in the cueing.
Yeah. I mean, cueing is something that she can do at the meet, just leading the shoulders, back of the head to the bar out of the hole. I mean, that's something, she's probably going to revert to lifting with her back to an extent, but as long as she's consciously making that effort to drive the head back and really throw the shoulders back into the bar, that can help.
So how do you work with lifters that have a hard time getting the lat engagement on the bench?
So I actually like just kind of doing lat work for that, chest supported rows, stuff like that, just full protraction, full retraction, just getting the lats stronger. Nothing like super special, keeping it simple but effective. Just working on that retraction, scapular depression. And then just kind of that break the bar cue, staying tucked here. Because anytime you see like this, where the elbows shoot out, you're opening up, that tells me the lats are engaged there. So just kind of cueing and then just trying to really just work on getting the lats stronger.
What's another one of the weak points with one of your lifters that you've been working on as their that's an example, kind of like what you just gave, but with somebody else that's kind of in the same situation where you're working on it, but now it's just kind of like, just ride what you got, work the cues. But in the off season, we have to double down on X.
Yeah. So like sinking on bench, one of the girls, she'll get to the bottom and it's just getting just loose. Like, so we've done, honestly, I've tried kind of a lot to fix this. But she'll get to the bottom, and then it's kind of just like, just a little bit of cave, a little bit of looseness, to where I'll play it back. I'll play it in slow-mo, and you'll see just a little wavering of the bar, just kind of losing tightness at the bottom. We've done like spoto press for that. Really working on the leg drive too, because that's a big component. And that's one of the things where once I see her legs kind of like come forward a little bit, just release slightly, everything else releases after that. So trying to just get her to maintain that leg drive, squeeze the glutes, drive through the heels, and use your heels and use your legs to elevate that chest up and maintain that. That's what's going to kind of fix that.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe.
But I mean, that's a big one where it's just like, cue it. I've given her like long pause benches, which can help with that too. Long pause spoto, which can help as long as it still comes down to execution on that, right? Mm-hmm. But those are kind of some of the ways that I've addressed that.
Have you tried low pin presses?
No.
You can set the bar right at a position to where if she keeps her rib cage expanded, it will touch her chest. But if she lets the rib cage drop, the bar is going to hit the pins.
I like that.
You see what I'm saying?
I like that.
It gets tricky, right? Because sometimes you may not have enough room.
Yeah.
You might have to, put a swimming noodle over the pin. Yeah. But it's usually close enough.
I like that.
Right? So they have that reinforcement. They hear that ding. Well, you fucked up. If you don't, then it kind of puts it in there.
Yeah.
So and sometimes with some of the competition benches that have, like the ones we have out here, they have the spot arms. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can get close with the spot arms too.
Yeah.
To be able to
so what kind of rep range would you go with that?
Well, if it's a technical thing like this,
yeah, 10s.
I mean, it's just the fucking bar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just that reinforcement. So there's a lot of reps with that. Anything that I'll use a cue, like keep your rib cage up, and stuff like that. Anything to be able to get it. But the higher end of that would be to do it with a floor press, because now they can't use their fucking legs to do it. They have to just completely rely on the rib cage.
That makes sense.
And pulling that all up.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's a little bit, too far out.
Yeah.
For that. And, I got the idea just because of the dead press to be able to bring up the bottom of the lift. And, I'd see some lifters like, why is it really a dead press on that rep, but on this one, it's kind of not, mm-hmm. Because it hit, they got tired, as the reps went on, the rib cage dropped. Yeah. So then it became kind of like a pin press for that. So it's just one kind of example with that, but you run into a lot of nuance and a lot of issues when it's an online, and you're trying to do this feedback with video.
Yeah.
Instead of where to meet, you could probably fix that.
Definitely.
Real quick.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like I've gotten pretty good with the video review for sure. But if there's ever an issue that tends to kind of linger or hang around longer than I would like, then I just invite them to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's great. And having the people at least within, arm's distance of being able to travel in to Legends, that's very beneficial. Some are a little bit too far, but we do the best we can with that.
Another thing I found with some lifters is if they're having issues like that, I'll have them send me some of their warm-up sets, mm-hmm. right? Because if you look at the total volume that's done in a day, the work sets make up 5, maybe 6 reps.
Yeah.
But maybe 50 were completed in that entire day.
Yeah.
And if all the 80% of all the technique could have been shit. You know what I'm saying? So they're just reinforcing shitty reps.
Yeah.
Where, as you were talking about earlier, even with your own training early on, you might have had 3 reps one day where it should have been 4, but you just kind of back it down. Where part of what you're doing when you're doing that is if it's a set of 4 and the first 2 are solid, but the third and the fourth are going to be trash, 50% of that set, you reinforced bad technique.
Exactly.
Right. But if you stop it at 2, 100% of that training session was good technique.
Yeah. And that's where RPE comes into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
but nobody looks at all the reps that were done prior. Like you should be able, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you should be able to root a fucking squat with the bar, right?
You should.
And actually,
a lot of people are just kind of be lazy with it.
Yeah, but see, that's the hardest to root with because you don't have the weight pushing you down, right? So,
it grounds you a little bit.
Yeah, so when I'll teach people and walk them through their squat out here, I'll start with the bar, and I start from feet up. You know, every coach is some people.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Optimally, you would probably start with the brace first because that could fix the feet and everything else. But if you start with the feet up and it's just the bar, they don't know what the fuck they're doing with their feet, right? They have 315 on. It's, you know, kind of cheap in a way, but they have no idea what to really go on with all that because it's a walkout the same way. You know, it's crazy how you'll watch somebody that has to walk out, how they'll walk out the bar in 135 compared to their work sets.
It should just be consistent. And it seems like common sense, but it's missed by so many people. Yeah. And I see that at the gym all the time, and I cringe, but I also don't want to be that guy that's going up and just, you know, correcting everybody.
Well, that's a whole other question right there. I mean, as a gym owner, I mean, you see shit. How do you manage that? Because obviously, if somebody's doing something that they're going to get hurt, you're going to say something because you don't have to. Yeah. But outside of all that, you know, let's not do this as a gym owner because that's different. Let's do it as a member of your gym. You know, because there's gym etiquette.
I feel like that's almost easier.
You think? I don't know though, man, because there's certain gym etiquette where you don't want to be the guy, you know, that's going around giving people all these fucking
and cues. At least if you're a coach, you know, you can kind of speak to that. Yeah. But the other part of it is like at my gym, like I'm not the one who coaches everybody. Like there's plenty of lifters who have other coaches aside from me. So then it's like, all right, well, am I going to correct this person? But if they got another coach and then I'm stepping on their toes and then I look not only like a dick coach, but also a dick gym owner, like I don't want to be that guy. But if you're a member of the gym and you see something, I mean, it depends the extent of it. And that's kind of what I think. Like if it's someone's going to get hurt, you are obligated to step in and fix that. If it's something like a helpful cue, say it, man. I mean, help them out. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. It's for their benefit. And as long as you kind of approach it the right way and you're not a dick about it, I love that stuff. Like if someone can tell me something and it can benefit me, I'm all for it. I don't care.
So who would make up the majority of your members?
Honestly, not even powerlifters. So, and that's a common misconception. People think like 24/7 gym. It's like, oh, you know, we're the strongest gym in the 585. And I take great pride in that. We are for sure. But the majority of our members are not competitive powerlifters. We got a really good group. We cater to powerlifters as well as like bodybuilders, strength athletes, youth athletes, guys who pretty much people who want to actually make progress. So that goes far and beyond just people who are stepping on a platform or a stage. People who take it seriously. And then people also like the 24/7 access. So plenty of people who come at like 2 a.m. I can't do it. I can never do that. I tried when I was on night shift. I tried. I can't do it. But yeah, it's a really good community of people. So the majority, I would say, are just those who like genuinely want to get better, who want more out of a gym than just your local eSporta or Planet Fitness or Gold's Gym, whatever. Yeah.
What would be some of the things that they would like you to have in the gym that you don't currently have?
A sauna. Yeah, I've had a request for a sauna, but we are pretty well equipped as far as equipment goes. We just got a GHR. That was one that's been on our bucket list for a while. So that was a nice plus. But we got a lot of really good leg equipment: reverse hyper, belt squat, pendulum squat, hack squat. Leg press, obviously, seated leg curl, leg extension, like all, you know.
What gets used the most?
Like machine wise?
I'm just curious at this point.
I know, I'm trying to think. Probably like the leg press, you know. We got normal people who go to the gym. That's probably the one that gets used the most. We got a good cable machine and a nice 8 stack. People obviously love the cables, but then the combo racks. We got 3 combo racks, and I mean those get used and abused. Yeah, everybody loves those. Even the non-power lifters, you know. And for whatever reason, they like squatting out of the combo rack. We got 3 power racks, and we got a monolift, and like I get it. You train how you compete. And, but it's like you're coming in at like 5 p.m. on a Monday when the gym's busy as hell, and you're gonna take out the comp bench to squat out of the combo when there are open power racks. It's like,
will they squat together, or will they squat?
No, just one person, Dave. So I actually just put a sign on the wall. I'm like, if it's busy, just please be considerate of other members. If you're going to squat out of a combo, please consider, I'm not saying you have to, but please consider squatting out of a power rack so the bench can be utilized.
So how often have you seen all 3 being used, right? And there's 3 or 5 minute rest periods, and the only weight change that would be required for them to train with each other is just change, like a 10 dime.
Oh, it's probably more than a 10, but I mean, it's not
like another red, not a 45.
But even if it is,
I get it, but I'm making this more absurd, right? Like if it's only like,
not a
10 at a 5
ton, but there were, and like usually if it's 3 people on the combos, they're not all squatting at the same time. Yeah. Like usually someone's benching.
Okay. But that makes it a little bit better.
It makes it a little bit better, yes. Mm-hmm. But I get what you're saying.
Because I've heard stories from places that will have 7 combo racks.
Yeah.
And then basically they'll all be used, and the weight difference ridiculous. Between each
there was a time I approached a couple guys, a couple of the stronger guys. I don't know, they got like 4 reds on each side or something, and like they're both squatting. I'm like, yo, can you just work together? Like your rack heights are pretty much the same, and you both got 4 reds on each side. Like, oh yeah, no problem. No, I think they were like, no, they were like, oh, I only got 1 set left or 2 sets left. I'm like, all right,
yeah, I got
thanks, cool.
I get why they do it. Like I get it. Right? I get it.
I do.
But I don't think that they see the advantage they would have, training together. You came up kind of through a crew, or having some kind of crew like that. Yeah. Just the advantage it has to have another set of eyes on the lift. It's a little more competitive.
Camaraderie too.
Which is still in a gym, right? It's still there.
Yeah.
Even with that, but that. I think they're losing something that could be extremely beneficial.
I agree.
For their strength, for their social health immensely.
Definitely.
It would definitely help that because they can actually speak to another human being via text or a DM, and which would mentally be a good thing. Yeah. But some of the stories I hear just blow my mind, but at the same time, there's a lot of places that.
But they knew each other too. So. Like everybody knows each other. It's a really good community of people. It really is. It's awesome. We got just a wide variety of different powerlifters coming from different places, different strength levels. But really, just a really strong gym too. We got 10 guys pulling over 672. I think we got a top 20 deadlift board. All of them are over 600. I think we got almost like 25 members, like 12-month members who are pulling over 600, which is awesome. I mean, we're not a gym that, we're not a 20,000 square foot gym with 2,000 members. So it's definitely a good, strong, quality gym.
Now, are you in a position now to where the gym can be your full-time job?
I could, actually, I mean, I'm making more from the coaching side than I am from the gym. But I don't even think I mentioned it. So I work full-time. My full-time job is as a security supervisor at a nuclear power plant. And that kind of allows me to, like, being that I can coach from my phone and the gym's 24/7. I can run that from my phone. It allows me to do those things even while I'm at work. Like, I got time to go on my phone. It's cool. So I don't hate my job enough to walk away from it. And it's hard to walk away from almost $100,000 job that I don't hate doing. I work with really good people. And if I can do all, it's like, why throw that away? If it got to the point where I really wanted to leave, I could. So
well, I put that out there because a lot of people will get into this. I want to open a gym. And they think it's going to be,
big mistake.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They think that's going to be, $1 million a year.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up. That's the reason Dave and I can do it. So we both work full time. We didn't open this gym to be like, hey, eventually, yeah, we want to quit our jobs. Great. But we didn't open the gym just leaving everything and saying, this is what we're going to pursue. Let's just dump everything into it and quit our jobs. Like, absolutely not. The reason that we're able to do it and do it successfully is that we both have full-time jobs. That's why, like, the investment we put into it, like, we're good and we're making money elsewhere. We don't, we're not just relying heavily on getting rich by owning a local gym. Yeah, to your point, like, the people who do that and are banking on it, it's a heavy investment at first, and then you're not going to get the return immediately. I mean, to have a successful gym, you need members, you need the right price point, you need the right equipment, the right atmosphere. And I think that's why, like, having a niche, kind of like the powerlifting bodybuilding thing we got a really cool looking gym. I don't know if you went to the website, but it's a very good looking, attractive gym. It's kind of got like this West Coast feel, black and like graffiti on the walls and stuff. It's awesome. Like, having something like that with some style definitely helps to bring people in too. So, like, you got to have the right setup for it to be successful.
What other advice would you have for other people that want to start a gym?
Go 24/7. Yeah, go 24/7. It's such a perk. It's such a good selling point, and it's not super hard to do. I mean, key fob access, the door's locked at all times. You're going to have some staff hours to where people can come and get their key fob, but obviously you have security cameras in place. I just think it adds so much value to your gym, being that it could be 24/7. I think it's worth it.
Have you seen any downside to that?
Not really. We found like a couple like liquor bottles in the locker room and stuff. So I assume like high school kids, who have memberships, they'll come in and like dump that shit at night. But I mean, no one's throwing parties in the gym. I mean, we got surveillance. We can tell who's in at all times. We have a camera right up in the front. So if anyone lets another person in, we can see that. We actually just came out with a thing. It's like, if you let a non-member in during non-staffed hours, you just let someone in, $50 fee right there. We catch you doing it again, membership terminated. So, I mean, that's enough to kind of keep people away from doing that. But no, we haven't ran into anything with like abuse of equipment or anything like that. So
what about putting plates away?
Yeah, that's a problem. I swear to God, that's a problem everywhere. We got our like 10 commandment board. Rule number 1 is put the plates away. Put things back where you found them. People still don't. For the most part, it's good, but there will be mornings where I'll come in on like a Sunday morning and it's just shit everywhere. Like clips on the floor and weights still on like the leg press and stuff like that. And I guess leg press, it's a little more reasonable, but even on like power racks, stuff like that, multiple plates and deadlift platform, it's like, come on. That drives me nuts. That's a big pet peeve of mine. What about you?
It's a losing battle.
Do you get that here?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a losing battle.
That's crazy to me.
I mean, I used to get OCD about it. And then after a certain point in time, it's just like,
that's where I'm at.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then at some point it will just become such a clusterfuck. Then, it will be one of those training sessions that I have that should really only take 45 minutes. It ends up taking 3.5 hours, because I'm moving plates around and all this other kind of shit. So it just becomes a big circuit training session for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's just like not worth fucking stressing about.
But it just drives me crazy. And like, to my point, it's like, what if I'm squatting and I can put 8 plates back on each side, or deadlifting, whatever the case may be, you really can't put away, you're like 225 bench or whatever. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Common courtesy, gym etiquette. It's basics. That's day one stuff, Dave.
Yeah, I know. Matt Mills would fine people for it.
I heard of gyms doing that.
Yeah.
I
use the security cameras and then it'll send.
Yeah. I've sent a couple emails. I have sent a couple emails, but like to charge somebody, I feel like that could cause some bad vibes in the gym.
Like charge $1 a pound. Were there any other topics you wanted to talk about I didn't bring up?
No, I mean, I think we did pretty good with this. Yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, you can accomplish, you really can accomplish anything you want to. Someone at the gym the other day brought up to me, it's like, if you talked to Kyle 10 years ago, how would he feel about where you are today? And that kind of opened my eyes to it. It's like 10 years ago, I was just kind of hitting my stride in powerlifting, and I did not expect to be owning a gym. I did not expect to be coaching with the crew. Definitely didn't expect to be here today. So it's really cool to me to kind of like see how things have grown. And even like hitting that 2,000 pound total, like, I didn't think I would ever get there, but I committed to it. And if you really go all in and you just commit to something and you really believe in yourself, you can absolutely do it. Like, take risks, do cool shit, live your life. Like, it's worth it, man.
How can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Sheridan Strength, Sheridan Strength. Yeah, it's pretty much Instagram. I am on Facebook too. Or thestrengthcrew.com, www.thestrengthcrew.com.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out. This has been great talking to you. We're done. All content you see on this channel and at elitefts.com is created by, take a guess, Elite FTS. If you want to help support the content, head over to elitefts.com and pick up literally anything that you need to be able to get more jacked and strong.